who has the vested interest to take care of this 5G network to ensure that the best levels of service is being provided to the customers, right? Whether it's the telcos or to the consumers directly themselves. And why is there a need to develop a single wholesale network when we have telcos that are very interested in taking care of their customers and very capable of deploying 5G themselves? There's so many other permutations to deploy 5G in the country, and single wholesale network is not one of them. It's not the way at all. So how did we get to this position in the first place? Okay, so you started out with the single wholesale network, right? So the government had like a very hard line stance. It's like, okay, this is the way to go. Telcos, you better fall in line or else, right? I think DNB was developed. It was under the purview of Minister of Finance.
Yep.
But is regulated by MCMC. I think the government was trying to push, or whoever there is that's behind the single wholesale network or has a vested interest in the single wholesale network, is trying to push the telco to comply. And the telcos, namely Celcom, Digi, Umobile, and
Digi.
What's the other one? Celcom, Digi, Umobile,
Maxis.
Yep. Are pushing back and saying, look, this is not the way to go. But because this industry is heavily regulated by MCMC, they also risk action by MCMC, and it could hinder their operation. So there's really not much that they can say. I'm not saying that the CEOs are using us as a conduit, but we are observing the industry.
Yep.
And from what we can tell is that Maxis, Celcom, Digi, Umobile completely disagree with this.
One thing about single wholesale network is that, like you mentioned earlier, that it has failed. A lot of attempts of governments try to do single wholesale network has failed. One good example with Mexico, so they have a single wholesale network. It failed tremendously. In fact, it was declared bankrupt. And even the coverage targets, they were not hitting it. And the government has given them further extension to meet those targets.
Yep.
And similarly, in South Africa, they also considered having a single wholesale network.
Yep.
Eventually, they scrap it. Okay, you know what? This is not good for industry. Let's open up the spectrum for auction. So at least that will increase the telco competition.
Okay, so let's look at the flip side of the coin. What is the government's justification to say that, okay, single wholesale network is the way to go?
The way they position this is that, okay, this is the best and fastest way to deploy 5G because, number one, we are behind other countries. Obviously, I don't know, okay, guess
who put us behind other countries?
That's right. And we need to speed it up. We need to find the most efficient way to deploy. And they find that with the government in control, they can deploy it more efficiently than telcos.
That is the government's justification. It's like, we know network better. Essentially, that's what they're saying.
And they're saying that, we are supply-driven, not demand-driven.
Okay, so that was the justification, right?
Yes.
That is what the government was saying to justify the deployment of 5G via a single wholesale network.
Yes.
Why I highlight that is because the action is contradicting what they're saying. Number one, they're saying is, what's this, demand-driven, right?
Yep, and then we will bridge the digital divide.
Yes, but all of their 5G networks right now are available in urban areas. The problem here now is, while DNB, the purveyor of this wholesale network, is apparently regulated by MCMC, your next question in the article is, what is MCMC doing? Is exactly that. What is MCMC doing? Who will police DNB, right? I mean, they seem to have a lot of power, and nobody's like really saying anything.